Hello everyone, I'm Francis Fernandez, co-founder and chairman of Goa Rainbow Trust. I'm here with Bina Punjani, one of India's leading entrepreneurs, who is a hairdresser who has a string of hair studios here in Goa. Tell us a bit about your journey through entire startup.
First of all, thank you for having me, and I'm really excited to be a part of a project that brings about change. I believe in change. I believe that society has to be more inclusive. So I feel, happy to be here with you today. Well, we have three studios and an academy. Our journey started back in 2011. The reason why we chose Goa was basically to have a much less hectic lifestyle. Both of us do like to work, and I think that's the important underlying key thing when we move to Goa. Goa is a great place to live, but figuring out what you want to do with your life, apart from being on the beach or being in tourism, we wanted to work with, of course, what I was good at, but also locally. So we decided, after spending about 3 months relaxing and moving from a hectic city life to Goa, that I'd like to get back to work rather than have a very chilled out, laid back life. Yeah. And that's how we started Bina Punjani Hair Studio. There was never a plan that we want to set up salons in Goa, and hence we should move here. Because I've been a hairdresser, I've worked for different companies, and running a business is by no means an easy thing to do, because especially for a creative stylist from that background, to run a full-fledged business with different departments to handle. I could do it because of my husband Pralay. He's been a great support. So he handles the business side of things. Every other problem except hairdressing is handled by him, and I handle the technical side of it.
Okay.
So that's our journey. We've been in, this will be our 10th year now. Started.
Okay. And I think you had done your education for hairdressing in London. So how was that experience out there, and even how open are they to the LGBTQ plus community?
So I think London as a city is very, very inclusive. At least the time that I was there, I could say from 2004 to 2008, I can say about the mainstream, everyday work situations, from supermarkets to clothes shops to hairdressing studios. It was a very open society, and you could be anyone. You could be from a different country, or you could be part of the LGBTQ community. It was very inclusive to everyone who was there, and the focus was on showcasing your creativity and nothing else. How creative you are and how good you are at your work is all that mattered.
Okay. So right now we are all in this COVID pandemic situation. How has this affected your business as such?
Oh, a lot, right? So the situation for us, our business is down to being people-to-people business, right? It is not something. So, for example, I'm maintaining a distance from you, exactly. But you will have a lot of people who have not done the research of how exactly this is being shared. I'm sure might troll us. You're not wearing your mask. So I think we've been open for the last 2.5 months. We've had no issues of clients coming in. No one has been declared. We've taken a lot of safety measures in place. It's online all the time, from sanitization to temperature check to sanitizing the seats to keeping a social distancing. Even when we are cutting, we are wearing our masks. So I think it's, for me, there was no other option but to get up and get the industry going. So luckily in our state, we were the first, within our country, we were the first state to start the salons, but that's also because we broke the ice. When the first time they announced that the lockdown is open for people who have shop and establishment license, we just opened. There was no clarity that salons can open, but we said if we don't open today, the government is not going to take this seriously, that there is a huge risk of the businesses being shut down. So we went out there, and by afternoon we were asked to close, but it was a way of telling the government that we are ready with our safety measures, we are here to work. I have 32 people on my payroll, I can shut. I will restart business, but it will never be the same as what we've built up for 10 years or 9 years.
Exactly.
It can be all destroyed within 1 month and 2 months time. So we were in a complete lockdown for a month, which was the most difficult part, because that's when a salon business runs on your day-to-day funds, and because we've expanded to 3 salons, whatever money we made, we put it into the business, and we grew our team so that the team gets more opportunity, people get more access to our hairdressing. So we never had a lot of savings or anything to work on. So we decided that we're going to take one day at a time. We worked very closely with our team. We made sure our clients wanted us to come to the house, but we didn't want to do that at all. From a safety perspective, because we don't know who they are meeting.
Exactly.
June is when Goa declared itself as a COVID positive state. That was a month that really impacted the business, because people were really scared to come back. July went better. Once people came during June, some of them sort of said that, okay, fine, I think this place looks safe. They're taking all the measures, and the word started spreading. So July was better for us. So for me, it's a constant struggle. Every day is a new challenge. I just have to wake up and say that, okay, today we are open, today we can work. Thank you. That's how it's been.
That's good. Your industry is one of the very few in India that welcomes members of the LGBTQ plus community. How does your venture embrace or affirm this perception?
So I think the foundations fundamentally lay in the perspective of when you start something. As far as my venture is concerned, for me, everyone that walks through the door, be it a student, be it a client, be it a hairdresser, it is down to how creative they are, how much willing they are to put their work into this profession, and that's really about it. But I'm sure there is a lot more people who've come through our doors, but I've never really paid attention. We've had clients who would sit in the chair and talk to us about how are they going to open up to their parents. And so we've had from clients to students to hairdressers be a part of that community. I think as a brand, we are very open to being inclusive. When you come into the salon, you have to leave your problems out of the door, because your job is to do your best and be the best at what you do and give the best service to the client. So we have to be very focused when we come on the shop floor. Okay. So the same rules apply to the community, but otherwise we are very welcoming to the company.
So do you all have any policies or something in place that protect LGBTQ students or even clients or other hairdressers?
I think yes. So we have policies in place, and they apply to all hairdressers, not just the LGBTQ community. One is there's no profanity, there's no physical. You cannot be physical with your fellow stylist. You cannot be using any sort of derogatory language. Even when it comes to religion, when it comes to we are a very neutral sort of space to work in, and if you are that kind of person who can accept anyone coming through the door, then you can be a part of this organization, because it's important that we are inclusive as overall, not just particular person or particular thing, but it has to be, if there is harm or done to any of our stylists from the other stylists for whatever reason, it's brought up very quickly and solved. So in that sense, we are a company that promotes pretty much good manners, respect to everything and everyone. So there's no particular separate rules for the LGBTQ community.
What, in your opinion, can the state government and Goan society do, to be more inclusive of the community?
I think I would put this more as both ways. What can the community do to be a part of the everyday, being, and what can the government do? I think it always starts from inside. It always starts from the community. The community has to reach out and get out there, try and be a part of the everyday work, society, people, and slowly but surely get a bit sensitive about what is it that people don't feel comfortable with. Once the community comes into play in their own way, I think that's when the government can get involved, because doing reservations, doing special treatment, again you're saying that this is a different set of people, and the idea is to remove that concept of their different set of people. It needs to be more normalized, and the way to normalize it is to be a part of the society, is my feeling. So
but right now, I mean, society is not that educated also. So we are doing our best. A lot of people do not even want to open up conversations about the community.
So I think it starts at the school level. Starts at the. So what I feel the government can do is start educating the kids at the school level. They can have the conversations with the parents at the school level, expose the kids as much as possible so that it normalizes. But I don't know in a work life if they can have a reservation, because the minute you force people to do anything, then some people will have a problem with it. They will not accept with a real open heart a policy, and when they have a problem and they have to do it out of force because the government has a rule, it's not good for anyone. So I think it starts very, very early on, sensitizing the parents, sensitizing the children. So I have a 7-year-old son, and when he asks me that can you only have a girlfriend, I said no, you can also have a boyfriend, and you can also do this. So my thing is the conversations and what happens at school and how the parents look upon the society overall has to change. It cannot just come as a heavy hand down that this is what needs to be done separately for the society, is what I feel. So it has to start at the grassroots levels.
But if we say the government starts education for kids in schools, do you think many parents will oppose it? Because there are a lot of parents who are quite orthodox in their way of thinking. So do you think that will affect any policies in that sense?
Of course it will raise eyebrows, right? It's not going to be an easy route, but the point is once it's in the constitution, you have the right, then it has to be brought into existence. Just because it won't be accepted doesn't mean one should not do it. You will have parents say, oh, we are going to be rejecting the school because the school is teaching. I think you will have those issues, but that's the only way it's going to start. There is no other way that it's going to be part of a social fabric if it's kept, if it's not done at the grassroots level. So how it should be done, there can be many ways. There can be creative ways to do it, and I'm sure if people put their mind and thought to it, how do you introduce it at the grassroots levels can be done. So we have our national theatres, right? We have our movie theatres. We all go and watch movies, and you have ads. What is a government? You have the no smoking, dirty lungs, you're going to die. You have a government ad going out there. What is the government doing from that perspective to normalize it for the people? So I think it has to come in those aspects, at movie theatres, at school level. Make it, bring it up first as a topic of discussion. I think that's more. I don't think people do that even today. So I think if you don't have that, then it's a problem.
From a business perspective, what message would you like to give to other people who are planning on starting their own businesses?
So I think there are two aspects to this. I think I love the energy in India where everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. But being an entrepreneur comes with its own, cost to your time and your life and all of that. So which I think is great. For me as a creative person, if I had a right ecosystem and environment and something like this to work in, I would work rather than, run the business. Because running the business, you need a risk appetite, you need to be ready to take on every challenge that comes your way. And I think I cannot thank enough, but Pralay is someone who runs the business. He has a risk appetite, he's very strong as a person. He also is very clear that there has to be a lot of professionalism when you run the business, and he looks at business as creating leaders. He has a very, very clear vision that when we create leaders out of people who work for us, then it's a very, very positive impact that you're having on the business and of course then on the society as in turn. So I think so you have to play your part in whichever way you go. So even if you decide to work, you have to be super professional. You have to land up on time. You have to make sure that you do your job and go beyond and not get into whether I'm a girl or a boy or whether I'm this or that. Do not expect special privileges. You have to say that this is my work. I'm going to get better at it at every single day. I'm going to work at it to get better, and I'm going to, give beyond what's expected. That's when you can be a successful employee and a leader as well. And from an entrepreneur side, if I've decided to run the business, I have to make sure I'm the leader all the time. So I am updating myself every day. I have to be like at least 10 steps ahead of my team so that they can feed off me in a positive way. So it's the attitude that you bring to work, and I think it's very, very important to do that. I find that seriously lacking in Goa to quite an extent, and I think a lot of people need to wake up and smell coffee, because there is a lot of resistance to entrepreneurs. There's a lot of resistance to people who want to be professional, make sure that they get to work in time, go beyond their work, and so I'm not saying don't have a personal life, but that personal life beyond a point does not get you much, but your work or what you really believe in or your art will give you the satisfaction at the end of the day. Even if it's a tiring day, you'll be like, oh my God, I want this to be over, but then that's your identity. You have to build your identity. Are you building your identity in any way? So I think that the society has to, mature and grow up and accept that this is, it's great to be Sasegal, but it's not going to get you much further ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And how about managing the business and family life also? How has that been?
So luckily, I can answer on all the fronts, right? So I'm a woman. I have a 7-year-old son. I run a business. I have 25 people under me, technical, that I need to train all the time, and I also travel for work. I think it's doable. Okay. How you balance it out is every individual story. My individual story is, I think I've had to compromise on a few occasions, but then I make up and more for it when I get the chance. So I think this is something that every entrepreneur or even a stylist has to be okay with, that my personal life will, have to take a back seat, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. After 60, when no one wants to give you work, you have all your personal life, right? So we are fed with the notion of, people overdo this and they don't have any personal life, and I don't think that's true. I think it's very important at the right age to be focused, get to a certain place and position within your work. You will always get time to unwind. Of course, you will have to take that time. You will have to put your mind to it and take that time, but it will happen. It's never that it doesn't happen, but it shouldn't be the other way around.
Yeah. What message would you like to give to the LGBTQ community in general?
I think it has to be normalized. You have to step out and take that step of going ahead and saying, okay, I want to be, part of this community, whatever it could be, whether you're doing, you're into technology, or whether you want to do hairdressing, whether you want to do, I think the important part is being normal and being a part of, and for crying out loud, none of us are normal, right? All of us have our issues and situations. So, it's not something that, so when I mean like, you have to remove the apprehension from your own mind and say, okay, this is workspace, this is what is expected of me, I'm going to deliver this and more. And I think the blend will happen. So just step out and try. You will have, of course it's not going to be smooth sailing, but unless you push yourself, do it, it's not going to happen.
And what about like for parents who may be watching these videos?
They hate me, but anyway. I think it's something to be celebrated. I don't think being, a particular kind or a particular way, I think it needs to be celebrated and, see what best can you guide your child with. So if this is what your child can do or can't do or portrays a certain way of living, I think be a part of it rather than, trying to say this is not okay, you should be ashamed of yourself. That for me is will be one of the biggest messages I can give any parent, even if it's not an LGBTQ community part of the child it's not showcasing anything of those. I think if you're generally accepting of who your child is, that journey will happen automatically rather than confining to the social norms of what a man is supposed to do, what a woman is supposed to do. You're going to be miserable if you don't marry, you're going to be miserable if you don't have a child. I think there's so much of conversation around that people are not allowed to think for themselves and just be who they are. So I think just be a part of the journey, whoever they are, and just embrace them and say you're there for them, however it is, whatever it is, and if they've had a tough day, be there for them. That's it.
Yeah, I mean in India especially, it's going to take time, I guess, to get to that full acceptance.
I just think no, not just that. I just feel kids have it tough sometimes, because parents have, and it all comes down to having preconceived notion of what you want for your child, right? I want to see my child as this. My child has to be very well behaved. And all teachers must talk about him. All parents must. So the pressures on a child are anyway there. Right? You're not embracing the child for who they are, what they are. So I think it starts there. The minute you clear your plate and say, okay, this is how it is, I can see that the child's enjoying life, let me be a part of that journey, other things will flow. Whether the child is a gay, whether the child is a transgender when they grow up, you will be accepting if you're accepting of the child from day one.
Exactly.
I think so. That's the message.
Yeah, it all starts from home, basically.
Yeah, it just is.
Yeah. Thank you so much for willing to do this with us. We really had a good time. I hope you had too.
It's my pleasure. I think it's a topic that I can go on and talk about forever. But I think I'm happy to be here and thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.